Stacey J.
And I'm Chuck Duran.
Welcome to VO Buzz Weekly, the first web entertainment show dedicated to the voiceover business.
Every week we are right here bringing you the latest on everything voiceover.
That's right. Every week we get up close and personal with celebrity voice actors, top talent agents, studio tech people, casting people. It's amazing. If you're anybody, you're here with us.
That's right. And on today's show, we have a super guest.
Yeah.
Nancy Cartwright, the voice of Bart Simpson, is here today.
So
you don't want to
excited.
miss a single second of it.
I know. And we are actually all about The Simpsons today.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. You know, The Simpsons, a few months back, Fox was talking about canceling The Simpsons because the production costs were so high.
Right.
So the actors of the show took a dramatic pay cut. And Fox renewed the show for 2 more seasons at least.
Not as much of a cut as we're taking,
Yeah.
but dramatic cut.
Yeah. But maybe we should empty the mugs and so people can, no, okay. Anyway, they've renewed it for 2 more seasons. So this renewal will take The Simpsons to 559 episodes and take them at least through 2014.
Nice.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So right now they're in their 23rd season. That's a long time.
That's a long time, man.
It's the longest running primetime scripted series.
Yeah.
To date.
That's right.
Yeah. And, you know, they're known for having A-list celebrities on their show to do episodes. And isn't there someone kind of cool?
Yeah, well, actually, yeah. And this is like actually pretty crazy, but the latest celebrity, the latest celebrity to join the VO ranks.
Why did you do celebrity?
Well, because, you know, she's not really a voiceover
That's
celebrity,
true.
so I'm going to just say celebrity as in something else.
Yes.
To join the ranks of voiceover is Lady Gaga. She is scheduled to be on an episode of The Simpsons this coming spring.
I bet she was pretty fun to animate.
Right? Exactly. And on another note,
Yeah.
guess who else is thinking about getting into the voiceover business?
Who?
Larry Flint. You know, the hustler
What?
guy? Yeah, Random House just signed him to do to voice a series of children's audiobooks.
Children's audiobooks.
Yep. I'm totally kidding, but it could happen. It could happen.
Wow, I'm a little scared right now. Anyway, we wanted to take an opportunity to see if you've noticed any changes on our set. We are upgrading thanks to you, thanks to your support in all the ways you're supporting us on Facebook, Twitter, donations, in the store. Thank you so much. It means so much to us to keep being able to do the show for you every single week and making it bigger and better and brighter.
Exactly.
It is brighter, right?
It is brighter. And, you know, just to let you guys know, man, I mean, we do this, and the reason why we're doing this is because nobody else is doing it, and we figured that those of you out there who are into the voiceover business or wanting to get into the voiceover business or are superstars in the business, we have now a stage where we can put the face to the voice.
Right.
And that wasn't available before until now. So it cost us money to put this show on. As you might know, we have not lies. We have lights. We have camera people. We have a whole crew behind here that we can't see. Hi, guys.
And they're great, and we love them.
Yeah, so with your help, you know, and of course subscriptions are always free, but with your help and donations and all that stuff and getting the show bigger, we can do more and keep pumping these things out every single week so you have some information coming at you.
Okay, we have a question from Steve in New York. Yes,
Steve in New York.
We're full of questions.
You
We
all right?
love your questions and your comments, so please
Absolutely.
keep going to VOBuzzweekly.com and sending them to us, and we'll share them on the
Yes.
air, for better or worse. But please use good language, because I won't say bad things on the air.
No bad things.
Anyway, Steve from New York noticed our apples here, and they are real, and he wondered what was the deal. Was it just an aesthetic choice or what? But we actually have a fun voiceover tip about the green apple.
Yes. In fact, as you all know, I'm a voiceover producer, and I produce demos for people and help them break into the business and all that great stuff. But whenever I have anybody in the booth and they get a little bit nervous, which everybody does, and we have a little saliva clicking and little bubbles popping and stuff like that, a really great high quality mic will pick all that stuff up, and they're kind of annoying. You have to edit them out, and sometimes it's hard to do. So if you just take a bite off an apple to every session you go to before your session, all those little bubbles of saliva are gone. You can be as nervous as you want to be, and your vocals will be nice and clean. There you go.
There you go, Steve. Okay, you guys, I don't want to wait any longer.
Neither do I.
I want to talk to Nancy Cartwright. We know you want to hear from her, so let's get to it. Okay, you guys, it is time. Our guest in the studio today is the one and only Nancy Cartwright. You know her from The Simpsons, Rugrats, Kim Possible. It goes on and on. She is a best-selling author, producer, philanthropist, and it'll be more interesting coming from her, so we'll just talk to her right now. Please help us welcome the amazing Nancy Cartwright.
Yes. Hello, Nancy.
Yay!
Put it there.
Nice to be here.
Thank you so
Nice to
So
be here.
cool to have
Thank
you
you.
on the show.
Thanks, my pleasure.
Thank you so much for taking your crazy valuable time and coming out and being on VO Buzz Weekly. We really, really appreciate it.
Well, I couldn't miss out on this. Are you kidding?
Hello,
if you want,
right?
if you'd like to hold it, you can have it. There you go.
It makes you feel all comfy and cuddly.
It looks great with what you're
alive.
wearing, too.
Get down. So listen, let's just get right down to it. I want to start out by asking you this, and I know that probably everybody asks you this, but you probably have a different answer every single time. How did you get started in the VO biz?
The real answer to that is I was working at an ice cream shop in Kettering, Ohio, where I was born and raised. It's near Dayton, Cincinnati. And I was on the speech team when I was in high school. So I did a lot of interpretation of humorous literature, a lot of children's stories. And I actually did well, brought home a lot of blue ribbons and some trophies and stuff. And I like telling stories. And sometimes I would do 6 and 7 different characters. And the judges would say things to me like, you have an unusual voice, you should do cartoons.
Oh, wow.
But this is Kettering, Ohio.
Right, right.
You know, it's
Everybody
like,
has
hello.
an unusual voice there, right?
True, and this guy came in, and he happened to be the president and general manager of one of the local radio stations, and I knew him and his family from the church that we went to. So we were talking, and I told him that I was going to Ohio University to major in communications, but I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do with that. And he said, why don't you come work for me? I need a little part-time gal to work in the summertime at the radio station.
Oh, that's
He
cool.
said, yeah. And he said, maybe we could get you on the air. And that's kind of how it led to it. So I filled in for people that went on. It was a full-time job for the entire summer. So I got to fill in for reception, for PR and marketing. I got to do some scheduling, back in traffic. They call it trafficking.
Yep.
And
Did they actually put you on the mic? Do PSAs
Well,
or anything?
yeah, it wasn't PSAs, but my boss, one day, a woman came into the station who was promoting music from Warner Brothers Music. And Warner Brothers to us means, well, at that time anyway, Mel Blanc.
Yeah.
He was the icon. And I'm thinking, she works for Warner Brothers, maybe she knows Mel Blanc. It's a completely different industry, but I thought, maybe she knows Mel. And my boss knew this. And we spoke, and I told her I was interested in voices, and I kind of liked that, and she gave me her card. So my boss ended up, she and I, her name was Ann Schwiebel, we kind of hooked up. I wrote her some letters. That actually led to my very, very beginning, but my boss did put me on the air. I ended up doing a little promotion and marketing for the radio station, and it was a clever little thing, and I was actually getting paid for it. So that was my beginning.
Oh,
Get
that's
down.
great.
That's
Yeah.
very cool. Very cool.
So obviously, in addition to Bart, you do multiple voices on
Yeah.
The Simpsons. But what is the most unusual reaction you've gotten from people because some people don't know that Bart Simpson is voiced by a woman.
People are just like, they're stunned, which kind of stuns me because, of course, I think everybody on the planet knows.
Right,
Oh,
I know.
8 billion
So do
people,
we.
why
It's
wouldn't
like, how
you know that?
Yeah,
But
right.
it's actually kind of fun in a way because there's that built-in anonymity that we as voice actors have.
Yep.
Right.
We can walk anywhere. I mean, I've traveled around the world like you, and I can walk down any street in Edinburgh, Scotland, or Dublin, or go to New York, or wherever. I've been to Australia and New Zealand. I can even go to the university that I'm going to be speaking at, and the kids don't even know who I am.
Oh, wow.
Which is actually kind of cool. So when somebody does recognize me, it's a funny thing.
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. Because I don't have paparazzi.
Yeah.
I don't have
Right,
like this
right.
attack or invasion or anything. It's kind of like
Well, maybe if
Yeah.
you just broke into
Wow.
Bart's voice or something, maybe someone would go, oh, that's
Exactly.
Yeah,
Although
yeah,
a little paparazzi once in a while is kind of
little
interesting,
bit,
right?
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
wow, somebody
Little
took a
taste.
picture of me. This is awesome.
I did. I had a little taste. When I was on my book tour, I was in England and I was on a talk show, and there was paparazzi when I was leaving. Oh my! I got mobbed. It was
How-
kind of exhilarating. and
scary?
A little.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. In what ways are Bart and you similar?
Bart likes to create effects, and I think that really, if I'm going to really pinpoint it, I would say probably that. I like to create effects too, but I like to make people laugh. Bart likes to kind of surprise people and
Right.
shock people.
Right.
So I would say that would be probably the closest thing that we have in common.
So you've never shocked anybody?
Oh yeah, I mean I've done some pretty good.
Maybe she does not wish to share those events.
For that information, you need to go to www.imnotgonnatellyouever.com.
So, The Simpsons is in its 23rd year. Congratulations. And
Yes.
you've been
Yeah.
there literally from day one.
Yeah.
You originally were supposed to audition for Lisa, and Bart came to... What's been exciting about literally watching him grow up and being a part of creating him from the beginning to
Yeah.
the present?
Well, that's a good question, and I know that you have a lot of public that watch your show here, that they're interested in finding out, I guess, successful actions that your guests have done to get us where we are.
Exactly.
That's one thing that I would say, and I would highly recommend that if you're interested in doing voiceovers, and actually even if you're not, it's sort of just like a rule for life that I live by. You have to trust yourself.
Yeah.
When I went in and I was to go read for Lisa, I read her, but Bart's audition was right there. And I picked that up, and the difference between an 8-year-old middle child to a 10-year-old, school-hating underachiever, but proud of it. Duh. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that?
Right.
It just seems like so much more fun.
Right.
So there was no doubt, no consideration. And also, I trusted, I had this one voice that I wanted to do. Not that I didn't have other voices, but for Bart, man, I knew what that sound was. You know what I mean? So when I did it, I met Matt Groening. I said, hey, I'm supposed to do the girl, but do you mind? I'd rather do the kid.
Right.
He's like, no problem. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, my. And for him, too, it was just boom. So trust your instincts. You're right. You are right every single time.
There you
You
go.
know, it's
Yeah.
like when you make him, you go, God, I knew it. I knew it. When I met him, I had this feeling.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
the feeling that I've learned to come. You got to listen to that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice. It's
That's very,
absolutely
very
great
cool.
advice.
So, Nancy, I want to ask you, what is a typical day in the life of you?
Oh my gosh. You know what? That's a tough one to answer. I don't know that there is such thing as a typical day.
No typical day.
Yeah, because to give you kind of an idea, I'm engaged to be married.
Yeah.
Congratulations!
Yeah.
That's like exclusive information there,
Does
isn't
he
it?
know how lucky he is?
Yeah, I
hope-
think he does.
okay,
I
good.
think he
That's
does.
cool.
Good.
But I've known this fella for 27 years. We met a long time ago in an acting class, and we both kind of went our separate ways. And he raised 3 boys, and I raised my kids. Although his kids are a little bit younger than mine. So right now, I've got my son is 20, and Jeff is 13. So we're kind of like it's another kind of a family that I'm
Right.
starting to create, because my daughter's married, and it was almost becoming an empty nest.
Yeah.
And then I met up with Ken again, and we kind of hooked it up. So that personally it's very different, and that's such a huge change in itself.
Yeah.
At this point in the game, I really love creating and producing. So I am writing a screenplay, I'm developing an animated show, and I'm working on a theater play. I'm doing all,
that's great.
it's just,
Yeah.
I just want to, I'm very involved and have teams of people, groups that I'm working with, individuals or whatever that I'm working with for each of those, and it's so much fun. And aside from that, the work that I do in the community, I'm in Northridge and have been very involved for about 8 years as honorary mayor. And
That's pretty cool.
Great.
I would never
Bart
get one of
Simpson,
those.
honorary mayor.
He probably would do a better job than some of the politicians.
Yeah, I end up getting, they kick me out of states, and she gets,
No, it's fun. I really enjoy it. This time in my life, I'm kind of like the idea of, I've always liked the idea of helping, but giving back in a way. No celebrities live in Northridge. I'm sorry. It's like I don't need to really live there, but I've been there since 90, when did we move there? 96. And I just kind of started to recognize that this is a community that kind of needs help.
Yeah.
And raising my kids there and sort of seeing things change, and it doesn't have the best reputation nearby Canoga Park in Chatsworth. It's very high crime and gang and pornography. That whole
Canoga
area.
Park,
Yeah, the soccer moms and doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
So to step in and take a leadership position and the idea of giving, and I dig it.
Yeah.
I can do it, and I'm able to do it, and I like to do it.
That's really cool.
I wanted to ask you, have you ever had a time professionally when you felt stuck or unmotivated, and just how did you work through that?
I did. It was when I first moved out here. I moved out here to LA in 1978, and I was about almost 21. And my mom had just died, actually, 2 weeks prior to that. I'm one of 6 kids, and she had been ill for a long time, and then she died. And it was kind of a tough time for me to decide, what am I going to do? Because at that point in time, I had a relationship with Dawes Butler, the voice of Huckleberry Hound and Yogi Bear, and I was transferring from Ohio U to UCLA. But I didn't know a soul, and I'd never met him in person. I just was really coming out. I'd never even been on an airplane before.
Oh my gosh.
I knew I wanted to do voiceovers, and I wanted to make a career out of it, but this was at the very beginning. So I was doing odd jobs like working in the cafeteria. I needed to make some money. But that next summer, school was out. I wasn't going to summer school, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
My gosh. So I went to an employment agency, and I started working as answering phones and it was a horrible time in my life. But what I realized was, I got back and I just kind of rekindled my purpose of what it is that I'm doing. And when I got back on track and got involved in theater and creating again, all of a sudden things started taking off. And that's when kind of like it all kind of came together.
Everything changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you be able to pinpoint maybe 1 or 2 things that you feel have maybe helped your career the most?
Well, these are going to sound very, very basic, but I think that's kind of what's really, really needed. And this may sound silly, but when you're setting up your home studio, your space, you really need to designate a space for that. I don't recommend doing it on the kitchen table.
Right.
If you can actually really set up the space and make it kind of, this is my workspace. You put curtains up, you kind of do what you did here. You make it really your work area. And the phones go off, you put a do not disturb thing on the door, you take your cell phone and unhook it, and you do your homework, and you just actually become a professional all by yourself at home. The other thing is, and this is another thing that most people wouldn't think of, you kind of got to do some house cleaning. And I don't mean your apartment or your home. I mean friends. I mean friends, and really take a look at who you have in your life. Because a lot of people will find, if they really take a close look at people that they work with and even family members, why don't you get a real job?
Yeah.
Why don't you do something that you want to get married to? I want to be a grandmother. I want to be a grandfather. It's kind of like you don't really need to have that kind of support,
Yeah.
Yep.
That's great. That is great advice. So Time Magazine has you on their 100 influential entertainers of the 20th century.
You're amazing.
Oh,
You're amazing.
But that's amazing. How do you feel about that?
Well, the first thing I say is, you really do your homework. And I'm just going to say thank you for that.
you're
She's
welcome.
pretty and smart.
She's
and
very smart. Amazing cook.
You have
I'm
such
impressed.
an
I'm
Thank you.
impressed.
Thank you.
What's the question?
Well, what are
I'm a
your
little
thoughts?
thrown.
What are your thoughts about that? That's of the 20th century, only 100 people. That's
Yeah, that was way cool. I beat Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
yay.
Yeah, I framed it, man. That was
Yeah.
such an honor.
That is.
I think it's great for young women to look at someone who started from absolute scratch and look where you are, and that it's not impossible. I mean, dream big always.
Yeah.
It's great.
Cool.
Well, that's
Well, yeah, you
definitely
have
one
a
of them.
Primetime Emmy, an Annie. You are
Yeah.
a Daytime Emmy nominee. I mean, where are they? Where do you have them displayed? Do they have little lights?
Do they have their own room?
Do they have their own?
They're in my conference room. At one time, I used to take my Emmy. You know, it's got those, it's like it's a weapon, and you know, I used to put my keys on it. It was like aesthetic and functional. It was like cool. But
Very
no,
good.
it's propped on I've got a table and stuff in the room, and it's kind of fun. You know, it's fun.
Go by and dust them off.
Yeah, exactly. That's very, very cool.
Do you ever miss the on-camera side, or are you?
You know, a little bit. So I'm developing, you know, these projects right now, and this one little gal that I created named Darlene Davenport that I have so much fun doing her, and I'm just starting to put together a YouTube, you know, have her own little YouTube kind of a thing. But I've been developing it as a play. But I could do almost anything with that. I'm just saying, where does she fit in? She's really different. She's kind of an unusual character. And I've done a couple sketches with her, and I've had so much fun. I love improv, and especially improv through her, because there's a certain amount of freedom, because it's like, because she's a certain kind of a character, there's a whole boundary, but there's a lot of freedom within that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just, it's really so much fun.
Right.
I cherish my time, and I think being on a television series or being in a feature film, the amount of time it takes sitting around for 3 months when you're not working all the time, to me is like anathema. I don't know that I can live like that. I'm pretty action oriented, and whether I get paid for it or not isn't even the point. It's more these days of who I get to work with and how I'm inspired, and if it's fun, I really like to do it, you know.
How do you keep your voice healthy?
If I do get like a laryngitis or something, Simpsons is, I mean, what are they going to do? If I was on camera, you gotta get it up anyway, man. You gotta do it, because that's like a lot of money right then for that night. But they will wait for me, and I will just. The best thing to do is to just actually button it. Just shut up and not talk. Whispering is horrible for your throat. But warm, you know, teas are good, and, you know, I suppose honey, but I don't personally take honey.
Yeah.
But I've heard that that's good. You try to shut up.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Be quiet and stay away from the vodka.
That is hard.
It's a challenge, but I do my best.
Yes.
I ring my bell. My staff comes running. Yes, miss. Yes, miss.
Yes, Miss Nancy.
Yes, Miss Nancy.
Monica, get me this. Janelle, get me this.
First of all, I think the coolest thing in the world is that you're Bart Simpson, because I think that the coolest character in the world is Bart Simpson. I mean, he's like he is like the rock star of freaking, right?
He
so,
is.
How many times? Because I know that if I were Bart, like you couldn't stop me from doing Bart. All right, I'd be like,
He
"Yeah,
actually
Bart."
does bark.
I do Bart.
And, well, he tries, and I said, "Are you going to do that?" And, you know,
And embarrass yourself?
I said, "Are you going to
like,
do
no,
that?"
I guess
Are you
not.
To me?
Yeah, no, not in front of you. I would never. Are you kidding me? That's like doing Elvis in front of Elvis. Like,
Let me
there's
hear
one
Chuck.
king.
Come on, Chuck. Let me
No,
hear.
wait.
Ay, caramba! Oh my God!
So
like
I know
a-
it totally sucks, but check this out. How many times a week? Okay, now maybe 0, but I have to know for me. How many times a week do you get asked to do the voice?
If I'm new in a group, then there's like working with the youth center. Are you kidding me? There's do Bart. No way, man. Oh, and they like freak out.
Right.
So it depends where I am. My friends actually never ask me to do it. I don't think they ever have, because they've known me.
You need some new friends, Nancy.
Nancy, you need to look around. Or
What is this?
You're on advice. You
Remember
need
you were
to.
talking about getting rid of some people in your life? Huh?
Chuck, no.
Okay, not those kind of people.
No.
Chuck just wants to be your friend, so you'll do it all the time.
Listen, it actually is coming quite handy, but not for me, more for my fiance.
Whoa.
He got pulled over. Okay, I'll tell the story because it's such a great story. He got pulled over. He made an illegal U-turn, okay? And he was driving my car, and my car says, I support the local PALs, like Police Activities League supporters. So that was the license plate frame. He pulls over. The cop comes up to the side of the car. He also didn't have his seatbelt on.
Ken!
Click it or ticket.
Ken!
Haven't you read the
safety
billboards?
first.
So the cop is standing there talking to him. He says, so I noticed that your plate says, that you support PALS. So what do you do? He says, well, actually, this is my fiance's car, and she supports. Oh, who's your fiance? Well, and he's thinking, God, should he drop my name or should he bring in assistant?
Drop the name.
Well, or he goes, should I bring up Charlie Beck or Chief, Assistant Chief Mike Moore? He couldn't remember their names. He goes, well, maybe you know her. It's Nancy Cartwright. He goes, the voice of Bart Simpson? That's your fiance? Oh my God. Does she do the voices for you too? Does she do it all the time? He's like, well, actually, yeah. Okay, look. Have a nice day. And that was it. What do you say to that, Stacey?
I think you should get a little trinket out of that.
I'm going to start telling people
I
that
think a
my
little tennis
fiance is
bracelet
Nancy
or
Cartwright.
a little bauble for the ears, Ken. Hello. I'm just saying. If you're gonna,
You owe her.
Yeah. Maybe we should have Ken on. Let's get another
crazy,
chair. Can we
man.
get
Right?
Ken in a
Right?
chair?
Woo!
We're gonna do a follow-up with Ken.
Oh God, this has gone so personal.
Well, that's it for us this week. Thank you so much for watching.
That's right, and be sure and join us next week for part 2 of the Nancy Cartwright interview.
Between now and then, go to vobuzzweekly.com and subscribe. Make sure to tell all your friends and like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at VOBuzzWeekly. Make sure to keep your questions and comments coming. We love them and we're going to share them. Take care, everybody, and remember, you always have time for a little buzz.